On Halloween night, 1977, America gathered around for a live TV event that shocked a nation. What happened was real. What you are about to see is the recently discovered master tape of what went to air that night. Late Night with the Devil.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Now It's Dark. I'm Jim, and I just watched the Shudder original Late Night with the Devil. This is an IFC film. It's technically a 2023 film, but I use in my reviews the US release date since I'm in the US, so it's 2024, March 22nd, 2024 to be specific. It is an hour and 33 minutes, rated R, 7.5 stars on IMDb, and well-deserved, well-deserved. So this was a movie I wanted to see in the theater, but I was afraid I wouldn't be able to take notes the way I like to. So I did kind of wait this out. It's also, if you don't have Shudder and you want to just buy a digital copy, you can go on Fandango at home, and it's $14.99. But it's on Shudder for free, so it's well worth the subscription to Shudder. So the movie is set in the 70s, specifically 1977. I was just a lad, 6 years old back then, and I can remember growing up through the 70s and into the 80s, watching late night talk shows. I was obsessed with Johnny Carson, David Letterman, probably a little bit more of the David Letterman because he was a little bit more on the obscure wild side with his guests and different comedy, but definitely very much a nostalgia trip for me watching this movie. It reminded me how I felt with the Joker movie when Joker went to Murray Franklin's show, which was also in that same style of set and talk show. So this movie is filmed like you are actually watching the show. It's not a 16:9 full screen. People may get annoyed to the lack of crispness and color, but I think it really works for this movie. At least it did for me. I was very intrigued with the premise. You know what? I haven't even talked about who wrote, directed. Cameron Cairnes and Colin Cairnes are writers, directors, starring David Dastmalchian as the host, Jack Delroy, and some notable other characters. June Ross Mitchell was played by Laura Gordon. Lily, who's a very predominant part of this movie, is played by Ingrid Torelli. Gus, Jack's sidekick, Rise Aturi, and there are a bunch of other characters too. I don't want to give, like, this is going to be spoiler free since it's so available, and I'm just going to start off with I highly recommend it. I got lots of notes here of things that I wrote down. I've caught, so the opening sequence is as if it was a television news report, like one of those unsolved mysteries kind of things. You get this narration, you get Jack's backstory, his relationship with his wife, his struggles to become like the #1 late night talk show host. He's trying to do that, and they go through the whole sequence of how he started, got the show running, showed clip from the first episode, which was April 4th, 1971, and then how he signs this 5-year deal. So we get a good amount of backstory. We also find out that Jack takes some trips with a all men's group. They are doing some kind of rituals. They have, the traditional robes and things. So it's interesting that in that montage of backstory for Jack, and the voiceover, which was excellent, the narration directs us to the times that the movie is set in, the climate of the country. They show clips of Manson. They show clip of Son of Sam. So they do like some things with Satanism and satanic cults and things like that, because it kind of preps your head for what's about to happen and where we're going with the story, which was kind of cool. So the show is The Night Owls or something like that. Just all the imagery was very cool, very, very interesting. Oh, speaking of imagery, I know like when this movie first hit, it had like a little blip of crazy backlash for some AI stuff. I did notice one image, but I noticed it because I already knew what it was going to be, because I saw the stories and stuff. I don't know if people are really going to be like boycotting and blacklisting for a couple of little animated bits. I mean, that's unfortunate. If people didn't watch this for those little animations, it's too bad, because this is a really good film. But it probably did scare off some other filmmakers to do things like that. So yeah, Jack is just trying to be number one. We learn of his wife's passing, and we kind of move forward in the story to Halloween 1977, sweeps week, and we are watching what is called the master tape of the live TV event that happened on that date. And it was really neat the way they filmed it. So you were seeing it POV from like the audience, or from one of the cameramen. And then when they would go to commercial, we would see the behind the scenes. So it was like watching a whole like 1 hour and 20-ish minute um, live broadcast as if you had been there. And it really was cool. So they have the standard guests, and it's Halloween. So we've got one guy who claims to be like a psychic, uh, and he has some things going on with the audience. And then we have a guy that comes out to be a debunker, and he has his whole thing going on, and he's like the prick guy, the one that we're supposed to hate very much. He's trying to like put a damper on everybody's stuff. And then the third guest is the June Ross Mitchell, who is the author of a book, Conversations with the Devil, which is actually a real book, by the way. It's not this book, but it is a book, and I think it has to do with, I don't know, I looked it up. It was Jack Ryan or one of those Tom Clancy kind of books or something. It's from 2003 or 2013. I don't know. But if you go look this book up, you're going to find something completely unrelated to this movie. I don't know why I brought that up. So June Ross Mitchell has also with her Lily, who is a girl that is in her care. She's 13. She was the sole survivor of a cult, and that cult did what cults do when they're under fire from the police or whatever. They all drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak. They were a little bit more than that, but yeah, so Lily is there as well. And you kind of pick up that June and Jack maybe have a little bit more of a relationship outside of the show. It's not really 100% given to you. It's just like little hinted at scenarios. But Jack's obviously very obsessed with his wife, and her passing. It gets brought up a few times throughout the course of the movie and in the talk show itself, particularly when Lily comes on and meets him and the audience. And Ingrid Torelli, who plays Lily, I think she did fantastic. She was so creepy without even being creepy. Just by the way she was like looking at the camera, she had just like this stare that really just was like hard to look away from, but enough to get you kind of like, oh, this is going to be good. She's going to creep us out. And she did. So their segment was to do somewhat of a demonstration of I don't, they don't refer to it as a possession, but it's kind of a possession. they explain who the demon or devil, they keep referring to it as a devil, but they do name it. I'll leave that for you to see and experience. But obviously, everything ramps up once that starts happening. Everybody gets freaked out. The debunker guy says it's all tricks and camera and blah, blah, blah. They go through all that. And then it just kind of stays pretty amped up. We get some other pretty gruesome effects. Most of the effects were really, really good. I was kind of surprised at the end of the final sequence of effects because they were a little out of place from the rest, but I see why they had to do it that way. And it gave off a more of an 80s From Beyond or movies that use kind of those special effects. But there was plenty of practical effects in this as well. There's not like a lot of gross act. Like for the whole sum of the movie, there's only a few scenes where there was some really decent practical effects needed. A lot of my enjoyment of the movie was the interaction of David Dastmalchian with how he was the host, and then when they would go off air and backstage, and they're still so mindful of ratings and that they're trying to create like this blockbuster show, and there's people in the audience that are watching and that could have an impact on the future of the show because the contract was expiring. But man, what a really fun ending. I'm definitely gonna have to watch this again because I'm not sure how I feel about the ending. That's the problem. It wasn't what I was expecting, which is so good. Like, this is a very original movie. This is a very different thing. IFC did a great job with this, and all of the other contributors to this movie. I think it was well written. There's a whole big wraparound story. Like, we get all that info at the front, and it kind of comes into play at the back, and it does work. I just don't know that everybody's going to like the way it ended. But it's so good. Musical, or music setting, all tone, 100% 70s vibe. So yeah, check this out on Shudder, and let me know what you think in the comments down below. And keep checking back for more great stuff.
Row 18, plot 20.